At the wrong damn thing. All right. Well, yeah, we're a professional fucking stream here, folks, and everything, and we are already off to the fucking races and everything.
So professional.
Exactly. So professional.
Mm.
Welcome, folks, to Community Curation. I am your host, the Gothic Storyteller, and on the slab today, we have StevieStreamsTV. Thank you so much, Ghost Girl, for that gifted, or for the resubscription. 8 months. We're 1 month away from a Twitch baby. Holy hell, and everything. Thank you guys so much. Good morning, D. Thank you so much for Lurk Jelly, and thank you, Ghost Girl, for redeeming first. I hope you've been well and everything. We'll actually add your. We will add your. Oh, thank you, K Sweet, for the follow. I definitely know that was not because Stevie sat there and texted you. It's like, hey, go follow Gothic. Ghost Girl, I will add your sub to the timer for Wednesday. For the subathon, because that is still going on and everything. It's just today I'm gonna take it easy. We're gonna do this interview, and then Gothic's gonna go take one big fat fucking nap because he has old man energy. He has old man energy. Our guest for today, StevieStreamsTV. I've met him through Eastbound TV. Ever since then, we have been trying to get a conversation one-on-one. Since then, we've just been two busy guys and everything. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Stevie.
Well, I'm Stevie. I play games. I like a lot of things. I like to play games. I like to watch movies, binge TV shows. But I mean, I like to touch grass a lot too. I mean, I don't just sit inside all day and do things. But nah, man, I'm kind of a social butterfly when it comes to the virtual world of streaming and everything. I know a lot of people through Twitch, obviously, and know a lot of different people who do different things, such as, talk about movies and then play video games and then they go on their hiking walks. And I mean, it's very, very cool artists and stuff like that. I mean, so I dip my toe in a lot of different pools, but no, this is it. I mean, I'm in my 30s. I'm settled. I'm, I like to play games in Platinum Hunter, and I mean, I'm not that exciting, dude. But
You actually are. It's just like the way
I'm
how
not that
like you
exciting.
deliver. It's all like so
I mean,
nonchalant. Like
yeah, I like to build computers. That's one thing. I built my own computer from scratch, and I like to help other people build computers. I like to do editing with DaVinci and all that. With I mean, just everything, software stuff. Getting into software stuff recently, mainly. It's
we'll
still new to
definitely jump
me.
into that a little bit later here.
Yeah. But mainly gaming, dude. Ever since I was a kid, I made it a side profession 3 years ago, though. So that's when I started my streaming journey. It was 2021, all because K Sweet bought me a computer.
Thank you, K
And
Sweet, for doing that.
yeah,
You gave the world Stevie Streams TV. That was the birth.
yep, that was the birth of Stevie Streams. But ever since then, no, I've met a lot of really cool people, such as yourself, such as Eastbound, such as so many awesome people. And you guys have, I mean, just meeting you guys have basically made Stevie Streams a real thing just by being around me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have any thinking to do, it's to everybody who comes into the stream still and who still associates themselves with me and calls me their friend. So I appreciate
It's an
that.
interesting relationship that I've learned recently with you and Nico Arith, with just
Yeah.
like, don't be spending your entire fucking paycheck gifting. And it's like, I've never seen someone been so threatened and everything by, don't you fucking do it. And in the moment you do it,
Dude.
God
Yeah.
fucking damn it. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my
It's
God.
a it's definitely a love-hate
It
relationship
is.
that me and her have. I mean, me and her, we met through Twitch, and she's probably one of the biggest supporters of my channel,
Mm-hmm.
and just one of the most generous souls and realest souls I've had the pleasure of meeting on this platform.
Yeah.
We actually were able to help her get a brand new PC shipped to her to Puerto Rico recently,
Which,
which
bravo.
she's installing. Well, bravo to everyone who came in. I mean, everyone who was around my channel from the first 4 months of the year
Yeah.
helped contribute to it. So I was just a messenger. She contributed a lot of it to herself, but we were able to definitely help out with a good dent of it,
Mm-hmm.
and that came to help with you guys. So, I mean, she was our second PC kind of help giveaway in a sense. We gave our first PC away in October with our 24-hour stream we did, in which we shaved our head for. So that was a process. I think that's before you were around though.
Yeah, because
You may have been dabbling in here and there, but
I was probably, if you meant by October, chances are I was probably already getting to know Layla.
yeah, okay.
Because
So
my
then,
entry into that whole entire community was Joey the Gent.
oh, okay.
I met
Wow.
him.
Okay.
I saw Layla, had the most purest, fun, chaotic gremlin energy that only a few of my
Hmm.
friends have. Joined her, and then from there it was Otherkins, Krypton, East.
Yeah. All
It
them.
spread like wildfire, and I was like all these amazing people, and then like this year I met like Nikki Hooray through Twitch and
Hmm.
everything, and so I get to explore. You know, I guess that's like one thing for like a writer. I love to explore different like communities and just see how
Hmm.
people are, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's just like watching it and seeing how you guys like interact and everything. Not like I'm like watching you guys like a fucking aquarium or some shit like
Just in
that.
the bushes.
I'm sitting there, it's like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
Stevie just pissed off Nico again. This is awesome. I'm writing that
Yeah.
in the book. It's not like that, but like it's the I'm very much like observant, and so it's like when I see that, and it's like, oh, it's like one big happy, sometimes dysfunctional family that we all love and everything. And
Yeah.
I've been in a few of those communities that are like that. But moving back on, because I will try to eliminate as many of the side tangents. Mostly everyone here
Oh, we
knows
can side tangent all
I
you want,
side
man.
tangent fucking like galore and everything. I definitely
Yeah.
know we will when we start jumping into the movies, that we'll start side
Oh,
tangenting
it's
into
gonna
like
be
actors and directors and
yeah.
bodies of work, and you
So many
know.
branches.
So you mentioned you're getting into to software and everything. We
Yeah.
talked about this, and you've even mentioned on your stream that oh, we may see less Stevie and
Hmm.
everything because you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be working with the Unreal Engine, and you actually want to make
Hmm.
video games. So where did
I
that?
wanna I want to dabble in it for right now. It's a big software. It's a lot to learn. I mean, it's insane how crazy. So, I mean, Unreal, for anyone who doesn't know what Unreal is, it's basically a graphics computer program that makes video games. It's written by C++ mostly. It came out in 1998. It actually made its first video game was actually called Unreal, that it made. So that's pretty much where the name comes from. What was it Tom Sweeney, I think, makes it or developed it. Made lots of video
I'm
games, probably
ignorant
some of
in
your
that
favorites.
wheelhouse.
Yeah, probably made some of y'all's favorite video. Fortnite was Unreal Engine. Star Wars
Yeah,
Final Fantasy remake. Little Nightmares, one of my favorites.
pretty much anything on
Was
Epic
made
Game
by
Store, Unreal has touched it
anything Epic
because you can get
Games,
Unreal through
pretty
the Epic
much.
Game Store. So
Yeah, and it's crazy how it's just free to anybody to download and learn if your computer can handle it.
yeah.
It requires a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I recently rebuilt my entire PC was to not just get into that, but I mean that was one of the perks. But it's a lot. I've already been dabbling in a lot of it. What I'm going for in it is environmental artist stuff. So right
Mm.
now, what my process is just learning the software, taking tutorials on YouTube. I'm doing this. I'm not paying for anything. I'm not going to be paying a dime to learn this thing. I don't. I mean, but I got to make a portfolio. I got to study the software for at least a year, uh, maybe 2 years. I have lots of friends that are already game developers,
So you get to
and
pick their brains on that.
pick their brains. They like to do private Discord calls with me, and they show me what they know.
Hmm.
It's very, very cool. But I mean, when you learn one thing in Unreal, you gotta learn another, and then to learn that one, you gotta learn another thing.
Yeah.
So it just all to just circle back to the original thing that you were trying to learn. So, but
I've discovered that when because I was dumb enough to sign up for the Art Institute of Houston. Really, the only good thing about that was the connections that I made with
uh-huh.
the professors and the friends that I have. To me, that's like the best thing ever. And I know like a lot of people are like, oh well, I didn't get a career out of this. It's like, well, you got what you put in, and I
Yeah.
definitely knew there was a lot of people that did not put in quite a bit. They just expected it to drop, you know,
Yeah.
in their lap and everything. But the thing that I noticed through quite a few classes, it's like, oh, you can learn all this on YouTube.
Yep.
And even some of the game developing classes I sat into, while I was editing my own thing, most of the time it was very little talk coming from the professor, and they're like, okay, hey, we're gonna watch this YouTube video on how to work this. And I'm like over here, it's like, oh my god, you guys do the same thing too? And they're like, yeah. It's like, do you guys do it too? It's like, yeah. Like, some of our professors will actually hold a lecture because there's some things you cannot teach through a YouTube video. It's like, you just have to go out and do it. Like, film
Hmm.
on a camera, you have to go out and do it.
Yeah.
Writing, you have to go out there and do it. You know, you
That's what
just
I learned.
you just yeah, that the only way you can learn it. And to me, that's the only way I can learn is to physically go out there. And I definitely need to kick myself in the ass and be like, hey, get back in there and learn photography. That can at least be another side hustle that you can do, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning all of that where with like film and whatnot, and then like knowing, oh well, in order to master this, you have to learn this and add this, add this, add that. And it's like, it's so much and everything. But if you have a really good passion for it, it doesn't matter what all your extra learning. It's more the journey of like, oh, this is what we're gonna do today. And
Hmm.
so like, I don't know how well it is with Unreal Engine with like just having to sit there at a chair. Like, if you love it, you love it and everything. The same thing could be said about writing, because you have to learn story structure, tropes, all this other shit. You know,
Right.
I love it. I love it to death. So that's why I can say and shit and everything. But at the end of the
Mm.
day, I'm still the one still trying to be a writer out here.
Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to get into it a lot because I mean, before I got into, I mean, I grew up on movies. I grew up on going to Blockbuster, getting the movie pass, turning in two movies for two more. Back in the day, if y'all remember that subscription, it shows my age. But that's just so. But playing video games, playing story games, is one thing I would love to just at least one time in my life make one decent story game, even if it doesn't have to be win awards, it doesn't have to do any of that, it just has to be an hour long and it gives off a good story. You can be in the same room like an escape room, I don't care, I just want to be able to say I made a game, people have played my game, and I just want to prove something more to myself than just, I don't know, play everyone else's game. I want to kind of show someone what I have going on in my head.
Yeah.
And I guess in a sense, it is kind of being a screenwriter or a director, but in your own, but you're actually just creating everything else with it. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool, and you can make a lot of money off of it at the same time
If you know
it's
the
a
right people,
success.
if you know the right
If you,
people, if you're
well,
able to
thing,
market it very well and people know
right,
of it.
yeah, that's the main thing. But with Epic, like, it's such a free software, you can literally, like, if you knew what to do, you could go make Rocket League right now,
Mm-hmm.
just sitting in your room, if you knew how to do it. But Epic gives you all the tools, gives you everything you need for free, but if you sell it, it just takes 5% of all proceeds, that's it.
Yeah,
And that's, so you keep 95%
that's
of
not bad.
everything else. But obviously that's going to go towards marketing and all that other good stuff, and paying yourself for the time. And I mean, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a journey of my own, and it's kind of why I have taken a break from streaming. I mean, not break completely. I still stream, not as much, but being in everyone else's streams and
Yeah.
being in my own streams and still going to my full-time job Monday through Friday and spending time with K Sweet and going to the movies and watching TV.
You got
Man,
everything
it's a
going
lot.
on.
Life's gonna fly by, man. But I gotta sit down and actually focus on this for the long run and for the
Mm-hmm.
end game to say, yeah, I did put my mind to it, and just see what I can do, and then maybe, maybe get the streamings or the streams involved in it. Like, have my, audience, like, hey guys, what do you think I should do here for this part, or what do you think this character should be wearing, or who's, you know what I mean? Maybe get people more interactive, so it could be maybe like a Stevie Streams community kind of game
Yeah.
made by not just me but everyone. I mean, if you want to write something up for a game idea story, let me know.
Oh well, I know,
I'll
like
see
we
what I
talked
can
about
do.
this, and I'm like over here. It's like, oh, it's like, is this the way that I get to like make a video game? Is like, do I have to write? And I'm like, I don't even know how the hell to write a video game script, because like I know like there's some
It's
people
not
that are
that
like,
hard.
yeah, well, see, people said today it's not all that hard, and it's like, well, like, look, there's a difference between, let's say, a television script and a film script, mostly all throughout its formatting and
Mhm.
pacing and all this other stuff. And then when you start looking at, writing a play, that's totally different.
Yeah.
Writing a book, that's totally, yeah, writing is writing, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, what format do I do this? Because I used to try to write comic book stuff, and that's how I was so
Mhm.
easy to get into the format of writing scripts. Was like out of everyone in my class, I was the first one to latch on, and they're like, "Wow, like you really grasp this." I was like, I wrote comic book scripts, so I understood the importance of a header and making things clearer and everything. Even though she
Yeah.
was like, "Well, you throw too much flowery stuff in there, and you don't need that because you're not a novelist, you're a screenwriter and everything." And then of
Mhm.
course she kept telling me, she's like, "I don't think like." Screenwriting is your thing. You need to be like a novelist. And it's like, do you understand the fucking stress you just threw on me? That means I gotta
Yeah.
come into sound and I have to do all the work of what
You
a
have to do.
filmmaker does.
Yeah.
Whereas screenwriting, it's just the base of what the current action's going through. You're writing the skeleton, you're writing the blueprint, essentially,
Mhm.
to it. I was like, telling me to go write a book, that's like, just shoot me
Yeah,
already. I can't live on that.
novelists versus yeah, novelists you have to be so much more descriptive and
Yeah.
versus a comic book you just get straight to the point.
But
But it's
like,
I think it's all based on your audience. Like if you know your
yeah.
audience and you know how to talk to your audience, you can tell them a story.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna tell an 80-year-old a different story. Than I would a 5-year-old, but it's gonna be the same story. But I'm gonna say
Yeah.
it differently to one of the. You know what I mean? So I mean, you
Yeah.
know that. So
So like writing a video game script, to me, I start thinking of like, especially role playing games. It's like, God, you know how many
mhm.
lines of dialogue you have to write?
Yeah.
It's like, because it's not just, oh, you have three, these three options. These three options can branch out to another three and another three, because it's
hmm
always a golden rule I find of writing. And I think it's the
The
same thing
Witcher.
in gaming where it's the
Mhm.
rules of three. And it's like, you're telling me I got to write the same damn scene three different times through three different, like a good, a neutral, and then a chaotic one. And it's like,
Especially for different endings.
yeah, and everything. And then in this day and age, everyone wants to have a different ending. They're like they want 15 plus fucking different endings. It's like,
Well, they
what's
just
wrong
want
with getting the one
options.
ending? If it's that good, if it's that good of an
Yeah.
ending, what's wrong with that? And
Yeah, like I like the Resident Evil story games a lot, and it's
yeah,
just always set to the point. You find your clues. It's puzzle. It's chaotic. It's action, and it's one straight. It's pretty linear, straight to the point. You get through it. You get to the ending. Great game. Does it win awards? No, I
not
mean not
anymore.
really. But it's a good story.
It's your modern day just camp horror stuff. To
Yeah.
me, that's how I looked at. Like back when it started, it definitely had that Romero vibe, especially of the original
Mm-hmm.
trilogy. It had the Romero
Mm-hmm.
vibe, and then once they kind of started going into like a much more shooter mechanic compared to like which to me I enjoyed that camera angle a little bit better compared to like the fucking tank controls where like
Yeah.
you had to fucking remember like how to run, and then the different camera angles kind of inverted your controls, and so it was like
Yeah.
bitch, you know.
It's
Um,
always a problem.
but at the same time, that added a challenge to it. If it was any easier than what it was, then the game would be way too damn easy to do. So
There's a lot
I
of new
look at
things you
that
learn
as
in
that
that.
is the game's hidden challenge. It's you have to be
Mm-hmm.
able on command to switch. Also, thank you, Lou, for the follow. I'm not ignoring you and everything. Thank you so much. You missed our pro wrestling talk. I think you would have been completely absorbed into Dark Side of the Ring yesterday when we did that. But uh, yeah, like uh, and then like when you look at stuff like 5, 6, yeah, 5 and 6, it's all camp. They kind
Mm-hmm.
of went back to some of the roots, but I still look at it as camp because when you look at 8, you had a big breasted, I think she was a vampire woman, whatever,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you get
everything.
this skew.
Yeah, and so to
Or
me, I look at it as
Dimitrescu,
camp.
you know.
They're like edgy, kind of creepy villains and everything, and so like Resident Evil, no matter how much you try to go back to its seriousness, it's like no, it has it has made itself a campy horror thing that to me it's like no, it's not going to win awards, but you know what, it's going to catch your attention for like maybe 8 hours. That's probably the baseline of the
Yeah.
gameplay now is 8 hours and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a roller coaster. It's not fucking Citizen Kane. It's a fucking roller coaster.
Mm-hmm. Well, one reason I love it so much, Resident Evil games now actually made its own engine similar to Unreal Engine. So
Oh,
it like that's not available to the general public at all. It's only available to its own developers and employees or whatnot. But it can't be. I want to learn. That's kind of the style I'm going for. The 7 and 8 Resident Evil style, first person story. Make your way through a small environment, get to the end. That's all I want to do. That's the goal.
you
If I
were
can do that,
playing
I'll be
7,
out.
right? When
I
you
was
made that
playing
announcement.
7. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just kind of getting some ideas of it. I've already played 7 3, 4, 5 times, 8 couple times. I mean, I love those games so much. But like something similar is the remakes as well, as Winchester was saying. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
remakes are great. But they made their own engine. It's very, very similar to Unreal Engine. So if I can learn it, that's the goal. We'll see how it goes. I hope it all goes well in the end.
You're
I
gonna
can't
find
wait
someone
to
to BitTorrent the the Resident Evil engine.
just, hey, you can, if someone can figure it out, please let me know. I'll pay you whatever money you feel is
People be
necessary.
all like, oh, it's like Stevie was working on the RE engine. It's like, how do you know it's the
Yeah.
RE engine? It's like, well, there's this watermark that says Resident Evil in the corner.
Yeah. All his marketing and trailers say RE on the bottom left. It's so weird.
Right, and everything. But welcome in Ollie and welcome in Knox. But yeah, like moving along, we're almost about like a half hour into this interview
Yeah,
and
no
everything,
worries.
and we gotta get to talking about some good movies and everything. We're actually returning to one as I hold my cue cards like a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Stevie's first pick. It's not his number one, but it's but the first one we're gonna cover. David Fincher's Seven. For those that do not know, our very first guest for Community Curations, Stephen Way, when he was doing noir coverage and everything, he picked Seven. And so I'm pretty sure mostly almost everyone knows what that story is. It's about two detectives that are trying to solve the case of these people dying from the seven deadly sins, which is the serial killer's inspiration. Starring Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey, creepy little bastard, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Kevin Spacey is a character of his own, though.
He is.
I'm glad to have lived in the same generation as him.
Not for
He
what
was
he
so good at
did,
so
but
many
like
things.
the man has like a really good filmography of cinema. But after like what all he's done,
Yeah.
it's like the Chris Benoit of pro wrestling. It's like, oh god, he was such a talented actor, but look at his in real life, and he's like, he's a piece of shit.
Piece
And
of
everything.
shit. Yeah,
And
unfortunately, it is what it is. I mean, his character, though, I feel like that's what I love about Seven so much, is because I mean, we had a lot of psychological horror, not even horror, but terror, I
mm-hmm.
would say. This movie is more of. But I feel like his point, it was all about proving a point, and I almost was rooting for him in this movie
Yeah,
and agreeing with him in a sense. And I was like, holy shit, this movie just turned me into a piece
psychopath.
of shit psychopath. And that's what really I love about, like, I can watch the movie. I watch the movie at least once a year. uh, and I love it ever since I started watching it back when I think I saw it for the first time when I was 15 from renting it randomly from Blockbuster. um and yeah, I just that it got me into all those types of psychological horror films, like American Psycho, and other films along those kinds of nature, just
The
crazy
90s
ass
was like a
people.
huge like hotbed for it. Like
Yeah.
you had Exorcist 3, which was the psychological horror film, and then you had Silence of the Lambs that like came
Silence of the
out,
Lambs was a good
which
one.
Silence of the Lambs, great film. Fucking hate it. We'll never
Yeah.
watch it ever again because we had to analyze that so much in film school.
Really? Oh man.
In one class, we have watched it for almost once a week, and then we had to go home and rewatch it again for like homework. So I had to have, within that span of 11 weeks of class, I at least watched that film 20 times.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
I'd be sick of it as well.
To the point that the teacher like verbatim knew exactly what scene it was, and he would like look at me and I was like, tell me, Clarice, that the lamb stopped screaming, and like we
Yeah.
could quote it almost. And it got to the point where he's like, I hope you really enjoyed the class. And I'm like, over here, it's like, class was somewhat informative, but God, I fucking hate Silence of the Lambs. It's like, let us watch Star Wars or something. Let us watch something a little bit more simpler to like break down the story.
Yeah, I still watch Silence every now and then, but I watch it when I'm having that marathon of Hannibal, Red Dragon, and Silence. I watch them back to back to back every time I do watch it. So
See, I
all those
skip Red
movies,
Dragon.
too.
I do
You don't
Manhunter.
like Red Dragon?
Well, I do the one that came out first. It's like Manhunter,
Which one was that?
then Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal, and then every now and then I'll watch Red Dragon. Red Dragon to
Was
me
Red
still had
Dragon
one. It's a
was it like
remake
a
of
remake?
Manhunter.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that. Hold
Yeah.
on. I gotta look this up.
I mean, like they changed like a lot of the stuff, but other than that, it's
I
still like
see.
it's Ralph Fiennes putting the pantyhose over his face, like what Tom Noonan
Yep.
did, and he has the
You're
the
right.
tattoo and everything. But the one
Yep.
thing I do think, because of the times, but also too, I do think as a director, Red Dragon had one of the best kills ever. Uh, and it wasn't even the Red Dragon killer; it was Hannibal, where it's this one dude that's tagging him, and he just like had this dude hooked up with a noose around his neck, slit his belly open, and just pushed him out the window, and bam, snapped his neck, and all of his entrails just land. And I think he was somewhere near the Vatican or so, because I think this is like supposed to be kind of right around Italy or whatever, I think, when he did this. And so there's just people minding their own business, and then bam, like some dude's organs just spill out on the sidewalk, and it's like,
Showing them to the world.
without showing much gore, one of the most epic kills ever. You know, I give a clap to it. But
Yeah.
back to Fincher and everything.
Back to Fincher.
You rented this when you were 15, and I mean, what were your first thoughts on Seven?
I couldn't stop. I couldn't look away. Just the detail of every kill being so, the graphic of it all. It's like, it was like pretty much nothing I'd seen before. Because, like, mind you, I was 15. I hadn't seen much rated R movies back then. They were still carding you. Oh, are you old enough to see this movie? Kind of thing. If I was able to get a movie, it had to be through my parents.
Yeah.
You know, still. But some new guy started working at Blockbuster and would rent me anything I wanted, so I took advantage of the moment. And
so I was that one guy.
I just started renting random stuff, and I was taking this, like, he was giving me suggestions of stuff to rent, and I just remember this whole summer of just watching all these different kinds of 90s movies, not just psychological terror, but yeah, no, Seven was one of them. And ever since, I was just like in love with it. Then I almost became obsessed with the history of all the seven deadly sins and got into it, which and all the, you know, all the meanings and why they are what they are. And
were you an altar boy by any
that.
chance?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
I am not religious by any means. But I mean, I was grown up. I was in a Catholic church when I was a kid, but not anymore. But yeah, but no, just the meanings of all the sins, whether it be physical or emotional or mental, like it's just insane to me of how, I don't know, how the Pope's involved and all this stuff with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go down a loophole with these seven deadly sins if on YouTube if you wanted to, but
there's always like an iceberg video or something.
Yeah.
That's generally that's your starting point, and then like you start like, you know, you start dancing around with Dante's Inferno and that whole trilogy, the comedies of, no, I'm trying to remember what the fuck the name of the trilogy is.
Wait, Dante's Inferno?
Yeah, because there's Purgatorio, that's the second one, and then there is fuck, I forgot what's the Latin.
Purgatorio, and Paradiso? Paradiso?
Yeah, Paradise.
Whatever it's called.
And everything. It's Latin for paradise and everything. I forgot Latin what exactly all I call it is like the Dante trilogy and everything, but there is an actual
Paradise Plus, A Life of Dante. Yeah, I see it.
Paradise Plus, that sounds like a fucking DLC add-on. If you like
subscription
Paradiso, then you can sit there and get more of it with Paradiso Plus.
Yeah. Subscribe today for your first 3-month trial.
3 extra chapters, you know, never before seen. It's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I think this had to been my earlier sighting of Brad Pitt. Like,
I mean, he was in a few things before, a few TV shows and whatnot. But oh man, the one thing you have the two characters, and then you know you got Morgan Freeman's character, which is just a guy who's just witnessed it all, seen it all.
Yeah.
The detective forces just made him this bland, whatever, going with the flow, see crazy shit every day kind of guy.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt's coming all cocky, knows what he's doing. Hey, don't treat me like a rookie, hothead. Yeah, all this shit. And it really just showed how someone can just be brought down to their fucking lowest and become their enemy, become what they've sworn to destroy, in a sense.
It's kind of like the Dark Knight story almost.
Yeah, just like Dark Knight, yeah, in a sense. And just like what's in the box at the end and all that just really
What's in the
Could he?
box?
Yeah, everyone knows that saying. What's in the box? If you don't, that's what we're talking about.
And to add another movie connection to it, we just recently watched The Exorcist 3 in my Discord, and not Joel Kinnaman, Joel Kinnaman, who is the main character, that he kind of has that same philosophy, almost like Morgan Freeman's character does, where he kind of like questions, if there is a God, then why is there rape and murder and famine and war, and
Why do you give babies cancer?
Yeah, and it's I definitely feel like, Seven is kind of like that good marriage between like those certain kind of like story tropes of, if you like that, you're probably gonna like Exorcist 3, and you're probably also gonna like The Dark Knight, because they share similar story elements and certain archetypes that it's like those are just very interesting characters of someone that is either losing faith, or someone that is put to the challenge of, will you fall for the villain's trick, and become essentially just like them, or
it's just a fork in the road is all it is. Like, which one you're gonna go, and it's gonna be the path less taken or something, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you even brought it up too with Kevin Spacey's John Doe character and everything, where it's like, oh my god, I'm agreeing with this guy. Yeah, he's like one of the very few villains in that's not over the top. Like, he is just this quirky little dude, but not like Jesse Eisenberg quirky, trying to be Lex Luthor.
He's a calm.
Yeah.
Has his intentions set, changing his mind, knows the ending already in his head.
Yeah.
Just great character.
He doesn't have like oh, this is my great vile plan or anything. It's like, no, I am just simply having you look outside from your perspective, look from that outside window. This is where we are going. And hopefully what I do here will hopefully open up the eyes to the rest of the world, and maybe you guys can salvage something from this.
Yeah, it was almost a theory.
He has no personal gain of, oh, they're going to remember me or anything. I was like, no. Because even then he tells them, it's like, it's like, no one's going to remember me. Like, I'm just this average dude that you could easily have walked by, which they did. They walked right by. Yeah. He only allowed himself to be captured just to be part of the final plan and everything, where like his hands are all covered in blood. Other than that, he was just your average schmuck. And again, terrible person Kevin Spacey is, but that character he plays is probably still going to be one of the best villains ever on film. And this was, I believe, Fincher's second or third feature. This is coming from a dude that did like music videos, and to think that he had something like this inside him of like, oh, bravo, because I forgot what's the first one he did, but I think it was like an independent.
Yeah, he was working on with Michael Jackson, Aerosmith, Billy Idol, all those kinds of people. Madonna, I mean, lots of different things.
I think Fight Club came out after this.
I think Fight Club was late 90s. Yeah, this Seven was what, 95, I believe.
Yes, this released September 22nd of 1995. So Fight Club had to been what, 98 maybe?
Yeah, probably 98 with Edward. But no, Fincher was what was his? I was looking for his first movie. What he did, the Alien franchise.
Yeah, that was I think like his second film, but I think that was his very first actual big budget. And even then, he didn't get to do what exactly he wanted to do, and everything. And I
think he killed it with Seven. I hope to God they never remake that movie. That's all I'm saying. I hope to God. I mean, because that's why I feel like our future is about just repeats of history and remakes. Yeah, because there's no original idea anymore. But
there is a really huge cry right now where a lot of people are like it's not just movie fans, but it's also the workers in the industry, especially like writers and everything, where the studios are relying so heavily on the remakes and whatever to go see it. And to me, it's like, well, to be honest, they wouldn't rely so heavily if you didn't go see it. If you stopped feeding the machine on that and you started going and seeing more of the independent stuff, which is why a lot of people do believe that this is pretty much kind of like what Hollywood was going through in the 50s, where it felt stagnant. It didn't really know what it was going for. And then the 60s era of the independent film boom just came with Corman and Jack Nicholson and Bruce Dern and all these guys that they were either coming up or they had already done some acting beforehand. But this is kind of like, this is our moment to make our statement and everything. And so I definitely feel like this is going to be our sweet boom, which I kind of felt it happened the same way in the 60s. It happened again in the 90s. And then I feel like it's happening again today, where it's like people are going to go to the independent stuff like A24. People have been feeding into that one. They love A24 just as much as they loved Blumhouse back in 2005 or 6 or whatever, when the Paranormal Activity movies came out. But at the same damn time, look how big Blumhouse got, and then look how kind of bad some of their films got too, because now they're getting in the video games. It's like, oh, good. So you want to ruin another industry, and it's
yeah. See, I think a lot of game developers or people who are trying to do adaptations are just they don't know their audience.
Yeah,
they really kind of. I mean, I hate to say it, but I was just seeing though another good one that Fincher made was The Game with Michael Douglas, and that was a really good one.
Yeah, see, I missed that one.
Oh man, you need to add it to the list, and we won't talk about it.
I've seen it in the past, like on Netflix, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting.
Oh,
like,
it's such a good.
It's like I think there's like a puzzle piece or something like on there that's like missing, and it's Michael Douglas, and I love Michael Douglas. He's like one of those. He's those type of actors that don't exist no more, and everything. Yeah. Wrapping a few things up before we move along and everything. Seven was like one of like the last really big films from New Line Cinema, because the year afterwards they would have the huge stinker of The Island of Dr. Moreau, which had there's a whole documentary on Shudder that talks about, you know, the director essentially getting fired, and he had like a mental breakdown and climbed up a fucking tree. And he told the fucking producers he's not coming down until he gets his fucking way. And then whenever they finally did fire him, he snuck back on the set and everything. And it was like a huge mess. Val Kilmer was a huge prick on that film set and everything.
God, Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
I can talk all day about Val.
New Line Cinema did not have a comeback until they did the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
And then they merged with
Warner Brothers.
Who was it? Warner Brothers in like late
David Zaslav pissed away every fucking Lord of the Rings IP and everything else. Really, in all honesty, I don't even think Zaslav was even in control of that, but it's just another moment for me to shit on fucking David Zaslav. As much as we were talking yesterday about how much I love Jim Cornette shitting on fucking Vince Russo, it's the same thing with me just shitting on David Zaslav. The man is fucking killing a fucking juggernaut, or what was once a juggernaut in the film industry. Yeah. And this damn dude is like, oh, maybe we need to just go buy some more fucking companies. Maybe that'll save us. It's like, no, bitch. Quit fucking investing poorly. Fucking invest in some really good fucking original stories, you asshole.
Just find a good writer.
A fucking house full of them. We need a whole house full of them.
Yeah.
Lastly, folks and everything, this is something I figured I would definitely want to kind of add a little extra into this podcast thing, but some extra Fincher films that we've already kind of like mentioned: Alien 3, Fight Club, Panic Room, Zodiac, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, or other Fincher films. Some of them I've actually covered. I've covered a fair share of these when I was doing my noir talk back in November. Completely skipped my brain that Panic Room was like one of the earlier introductions to Kirsten. I think it was Kirsten Stewart or whatever from the Twilight franchise. She was like a kid with Jodie Foster.
Stewart. Mm-hmm. She had that was a really good. I think Forrest Whitaker was.
Forrest Whitaker was supposed to be the head guy, and I think Ben Foster was in that movie.
Unless you're thinking of Hostage with Bruce Willis and Ben Foster. Let me see.
I have no clue. Like,
I'm gonna have to rewatch these.
There's a big kind of actor that's in there, but he's like the one that ended up shooting Forrest Whitaker, and he takes over the job and everything. He's like the fucking hothead.
Jared Leto.
Was it Jared Leto? Okay, you know what? I believe it. Jared Leto does. He plays.
Ben Foster wasn't Hostage. It was another movie about breaking into a house and kind of holding people hostage and stuff. Well,
I love Ben Foster. That's an underrated actor.
He's a very so underrated. He was great in Lone Survivor. He was great in every movie. He did a few quirky, like X-Men 3 Last Stand. We won't get into his role in that.
But there's a better role than X-Men The Last Stand that he did that I I treasure, and it's
Which one?
Spacker Dave from The Punisher. Because you did not know that was Ben Foster underneath all of those piercings. And him not willing to fucking sit there and rat out Castle while getting his piercings ripped out by, fuck, I forgot that actor's name.
Him and John Panetti were the great.
Yes.
You mean John Travolta or who was John Travolta?
It was John Travolta's like right hand man that John Travolta was tricked to thinking that he was fucking his wife. And she's all like, he's gay. He's like, how could you say that? And then throws her off a bridge right for a train to kill her.
The indecency of you.
Yeah, the decency. How can you insult my friend? But yeah, Ben Foster's role as Spacker Dave, I'm like, oh my god, did not know that was him. I didn't even know that was Rebecca Romijn neither in that role too, because I've seen her only in fucking blue face paint because of Mystique. I was like, that was Rebecca Romijn? God, she was so hot. Like, she still is, but man, did not know that was her. Moving along before we get further down the rabbit hole, we're going to cover a slight film remake, but its own little twist. We love talking in the film world about our good old favorite director friend Martin Scorsese, you know, the guy that doesn't really like superhero movies because he believes that they're killing the industry, and people are like, no, you're not. And then now today we're really looking at it. Like, he warned us a few years back, and it's like, yeah, the superhero genre is like really kind of killing the industry because that's all that the studios want to make is and the sad thing is they've had opportunities to make him good and they just like shit on him. Like what was that Vin Diesel one? There was one he did where blood, I think it was Bloodsport or something like that, because I think the guy who played Tommy, Bloodshot, that's what it was. The guy who played Tommy from Power Rangers was supposed to play it because he did like a short film of it, and I thought he'd do real good. And they're like, no, we're gonna go for a bigger star. And I was like, really? It's like, you're gonna say no to the fucking Power Ranger, but yes to fucking Groot. Okay. Okay. I guess he did it for fucking family. It is what it is. But we're talking about The Departed, Martin Scorsese, based off the real life Boston Winter Hill Gang and a loose remake of the 2002 Hong Kong action film Infernal Affairs, which I still need to fucking watch. It's a crime drama starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, Ray Winstone, Vera Farmiga, and Alec Baldwin. Fucking outstandard fucking cast for this movie. I saw this still pretty young, and I did not fully understand it. Even as like an adult, I still have to like go back. I've seen clips, and it's like, oh, I love that setup and everything, but I've never really sat down and rewatched it as an adult. What got you for this film? What snagged this for your number 2?
Of how it's not sci-fi, but it's just actually real life shit that could happen. Like I said, I saw it when I was 14 or 14, around the same age as I saw Seven. This was my blockbuster era. Everything we're talking about was during my blockbuster era. And it was just one of those movies that it came out. I managed to get it rented. I went home, watched it on my PlayStation 3, I think at the time, or whatever was out at that time, PlayStation 2 maybe.
Back when consoles had DVD ports?
DVD players, yeah, man. Or or it was a built-in DVD player on my two TVs, one or the other, and I just watched that whole movie, and it was just so, I think the language in it is what got me attracted to it, just the way they were talking and the accents and everything, and then just the kind of like keeping you guessing how they shot 2 different scenes and they kind of overlapped each other with different shots. Like they were telling like 3 different stories in 3 different places at the same time. And it just got me so interested in it all. And then at the end of how I was kind of understanding what was happening. But I mean, at 13, I didn't know what an FBI informant was at that age. You know, I didn't know what a Boston crime family was. I didn't know anything, but I mean, I really enjoy it. And then later on, you know, obviously I watched it again and then I watched it again. And then that's the movie that introduced me to Martin Scorsese.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you, have you ever saw any of his films prior?
No, that's what made me go rent Goodfellas. I think was, you know, one of them. And then, what was the other one? Let me see here. It was it?
He did Taxi Driver. He did Raging Bull, After Hours, Mean Street.
Was it Goodfellas? I was thinking. It got me more into like just crime family movies of all kinds.
Those mobster kind of
mobster type. Yeah, Pulp Fiction. I mean, I was going down a list with Pulp Fiction was one of my top favorites as well. It's up there.
I remember
That's
seeing that at
really
a
good
very
one.
young age, and the only thing I
Oh
could
man.
pick apart from there was like, oh hey, there's John McClane. What are they doing to him?
Yeah.
Holy shit! What is
Yeah,
that
no,
guy?
that's
What is
was
he
that guy in the
wearing?
police outfit? Yeah,
And
it was
everything,
pretty
and
bad.
yeah. Oh
But
my
no, seeing
god.
that Casino, I mean, just all
Now see,
those
that's a Scorsese film I have not seen. I've been told to
man,
see that one.
that's a really good one.
Yeah.
It's just
De
along the
Niro,
lines.
Pesci, the big ones
De
of.
Niro and Pesci were the two, man, dude, their last movie he did with The Irishman in
Now that one I did
2019.
like.
I mean, it's not their best. I mean, you'll love Casino if you like that one.
Like,
Um,
I had like some of the aging, like the CGI aging issue, which I did not like, and I
yeah,
think even Martin even agreed. It was like, it's like probably should have went for makeup and prosthetics a little bit better, but like it was Netflix. They were probably on a shoestring budget of some sort because I mean, hiring De Niro's not cheap. Hiring Pesci, pretty sure not nearly as expensive as he probably was back in Casino, but I'm pretty sure like
they could have saved money though. They could have just
yeah.
put out a casting call for like someone who's a good imitator who kind of looks like a doppelganger of these actors, a younger version of them, somewhat relatable, similar features on their face or whatever. Saved a bunch of money, but they needed that. They needed their presenterness, their tone, for
The
those early
charisma.
de-aging scenes. Yeah, they needed the Chris or the Riz with it all.
Is that where
to
Riz
kinda
came
set the
from?
tone.
I don't understand fucking
It's
modern
Riz.
day.
It's charisma, Riz. It's the same
Because every time that I see the word Riz, I think someone misspelled the word jizz, and it's all like.
I feel like I'm eating some new candy that's gonna get me high or something. That's it's
Oh my
my
God.
mind or something like that. I mean, you want to go rizzing tonight or something? Like, not necessarily, but yeah, no,
I'd be like over here, it's like, I feel like I'll get sick. Just someone said that. Hey man, we're gonna go rizzing. It's like, just fucking shower afterwards, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. But no, that's what got me into a lot of different crime movies.
that's good.
What was that? There was one with Denzel Washington and
Was it Man on Fire?
No.
Oh,
It was
no.
it was a crime movie. It was like American
American
Gangster. It was
American Gangster. Yeah. I think that
Denzel.
because my next
got
one
me
was
into
gonna
that
be Once
movie.
Upon a Time. I think in America, because I think Denzel did a movie like that where it was like a gangster film, if I remember correctly. They need to bring back Denzel to
can't
do more
remember.
gangster films. That man was fucking untouchable in the gangster
Yeah,
genre and
I
everything.
think he's
and
done. I think he's at the age he's ready to settle.
well, yeah, he
and
did like
his-
he kind of did like the towards the end of like a lot of like really good drama or like western kind of character actors like Charles Bronson, where they did like those revenge things like Death Wish, but his was like the Equalizer and everything. And
yeah,
and I don't think those movies are bad. I like the first one. I didn't see the second one, but they kind of
Equalizer was
seemed
good.
like they were just like movies of, okay, I can do this for a paycheck, but at the same time too, it's like I'm not just gonna do some bad film. It's like, no, it's gonna be at least moderately good. The writing is not gonna be shit. I'm not gonna go down the same rabbit hole as fucking Bruce Willis did and through two shitty Die Hard sequels. No, we're not doing that. You know. And we're
Bruce
not
Willis
sending
made
me in
himself go
space like
crazy
you
with
did Vin
those.
Diesel, you know, in fucking Fast and the Furious. Like, you know.
Doesn't know when to stop. I mean, God almighty. They should have ended it with 7. At the Fast and Furious
They
movies,
should have ended it
unfortunately.
after 5.
They should have ended it after 5, and then Paul getting killed should have gave him a sign. Hey, we should just stop. We should just let it go now. That'd be the right.
That's the Hollywood system of like, we gotta ride the fucking train until it crashes. It's like, dude, one guy's dead. Is that not enough for you to freaking stop the train? And it's like, but yeah, no. Vin Diesel will keep, like, I could sit there and believe like if they just did it more and just like in the memory of Paul, that's an understanding. But like, at least make the movies good. You know,
it's just a bunch of action, CGI, special effects, big name actors. That's all it is at this point. There's no plot. There's no nothing. It's unrealistic physics.
Which to me,
movie.
The only good parts of those movies is watching Vin Diesel get his ass whipped. Like, to me, when people sit there, it's like, Fast Five's your favorite film outside of like the first one. I was like, yeah, it's my second favorite. Why? I was like, because fucking The Rock beat the shit out of him. It's like he picked him up, made him hit the back of his head on a fucking door frame, and proceed to put him through a wall. And I'm like over here, I know he's kind of the quote unquote bad guy, but I'm like, fuck him up. It's like, beat the shit out of him. And then it was the same thing when John Cena fought Vin Diesel. I was like, fuck his ass up. Like, hit him with the FU, the you can't, the 5 moves of doom, just drop it on him and everything. And
sleeveless fight scenes. That's all they have, really.
Probably the only good thing that came after those sequels too were Jason Statham. I felt like he kind of got a bit of a second win, and Hobbs and Shaw just killed it. I was like, fucking hell. Well, it was good while it lasted.
It's cash grabs, quick little cash grabs, and I mean that's the world we live in. I think all of our best movies are, unfortunately, I mean, the majority of our best movies are behind us. They're definitely in the past.
I don't know about that, because the way that I look at,
it's gonna be hard though.
Yeah, like, well, the thing that I've looked at,
original idea creativeness
with how Hollywood at least has gone through, and there's been other industries too, like off in the UK, where like when we had the Universal monsters in the 30s, like that was like really good. You had Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, and then you started doing the sequels, and it's like, well, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman was a really good campy. That was like just a big what if, and they kind of did okay, but when you start looking at the Frankenstein sequels, it's like, kind of tap out after 3. And you kind of look at it, it's like, okay, they're only making these because they know people are going to go see them. But sooner or later, the people will stop seeing them, and the critics will just fucking bury the film and everything. And then you saw the same thing, too, when Hammer did it. It was like, oh, these were really good. It's full of blood. But then as the sequels go on, it diluted it so much to the point that people were like, this is horrible. So sooner or later, people are just going to be like, Fast and Furious movies suck now. It's like, there's no amount of making fun of Tyrese Gibson that's going to make it entertaining.
Maybe we're in a stagnant kind of... I mean, I think Deadpool 3 might save a little bit of it. I'm hoping we get... But like you said, maybe I need to start focusing more on more A24 movies. More indies, more smaller
to be honest,
movies.
If A24 keeps going the way that it's kind of going, I give it maybe 3 years and it'll wind up just like Blumhouse. That's just the sad thing. It's not that I don't really look at like, oh, once they become popular, like it's done and over with. It's like, no, it's the backstage politics of, hey, we have these, but we're gonna milk a fucking franchise out of it, which that's what Blumhouse predominantly did. Now, I don't really think there's any A24 films that have actually done a sequel to anything. So they've at least kept that establishment, and I do like their outside marketing where you can get the screenplay of the movie, like The Lighthouse. You can get that along with backstage like still photos of it.
Wow.
And some behind the scenes. And so that for me as like a filmmaker and a creator, that makes me really want to sit there whenever I guess I go get a movie made. It's like, hey, I want the rights to the scripts to be put in the book form for me to sell, and I want fucking 60% of at least the proceeds, and you guys can have 40. I think that would have been fair. I take 60, you guys take 40 and everything, and I get to sit there and sell these books. I think A24 is doing it right, but as long as they don't play the remake or the sequel fucking franchise thing, I think they're safe. And I think right now in the industry where we're at right now, people are demanding more original stuff. They're tired of Netflix series. They're tired of all this.
Well, get ready for AI to be implemented into all of it.
There's that too. Yeah. Get
ready for actors to be like, hey, here's a visual face scan of my face. Every movie you use it in, just give me a proceed. And then they're just going to have people like you and I play the rest of it, like do the motions for it and stuff like that. And I feel like that's the way we're kind of going. I feel like 100 years from now, there's going to be a movie with Robin Williams in it that just came out.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane how they're just going to take any, like just with deep fakes and all this stuff. It's just going to be crazy and how that's going to implement all of that. And
I think that's the hardest when the world burns.
I think that's when AI is going to be writing the scripts. It's going to be creating everything. It's going to be creating someone in 200 years from now, some kid's going to be on the computer typing, a movie about a kid losing his dog with a twist. And it's going to create a quick 2-hour, 7-minute movie in 5 minutes. Render it, send it off. Oh, you like this? Cool.
Am I the only person that's getting tired of 2-hour movies too? Everything's got to be 2 hours now. I miss the old like 78-minute or 90-minute runtime.
Mm-hmm.
for like certain films. Like I know that there's some studios that's like, well, you got to make it at least an hour and a half to, or an hour and 45 to 2 hours. I was
About
like,
view time.
what's wrong with the 80 minute runtime? I was like, there were films all throughout the 80s that sometimes ran at that pace, and there was stuff in the 60s and the 70s that did the same thing too. And those were some pretty fucking good films. They were fast.
Mm-hmm.
They were quick moving. You know, you turned out films of that length a lot faster.
Yeah.
And everything, and really you could go in there, enjoy your time, and then walk right out, and you would still have the whole night to yourself to go do something. You know, it's like I now, like, if it's Martin Scorsese, it's like, you can give me 2 to 3 hours, I could kill. You can fucking make me a 6-hour movie, I'll fucking watch it. You know, I sat through all of the Zack Snyder Justice League thing, and I still thought that was amazing, that was like the best DC film
That
ever
4
made.
hour, oh my god, yeah. That was good, but that DC, oh man, we could talk about DC all day. It, man, I don't. Even
I'm doing my best not to make a DC these nuts or
not. I'm looking up quick 70 to 79 minute runtime movies right now. There's some pretty good ones from back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Nightmare Before Christmas was an hour and 16 minutes.
Exactly.
I mean, great movie.
It was fast paced. It kept your attention going, and it's one of those films that still gets talked about today. I think if you look at most of any Vincent Price film, it runs either somewhere between 80 to 96 minutes. And everything.
I mean, I remember a lot of movies in the mid 2000s were starting to get that way, especially horror movies. I think, like House of Wax and all those, they were starting to be like 86 minutes was like the minimum runtime for like Miramax or whoever to actually like push the movie out to theaters or whatever. Like that was like, oh, if you want us to do a movie, okay, 86 minutes minimum, bare minimum, and it would always be 86 minutes. Like that was the standard. Every time I saw a runtime movie,
you remember
like you look on the back of the cover. What
7 Films to Die For? They always come out every year right around Halloween. It was like I think like a film festival or something. I think that they would do, and they would release 7 films towards Halloween and everything. And like they had like some really good ones. Like my sister had a few of them. Like there was Graveyard Dancers and everything. That was a really good one. I think that one was about like 70, 80 minutes. You know, and runtime and everything. And like, I mean, like that even covered some very like strong shit. It's like, for one, grave dancing, you never dance on graves because that disturbs the dead. And then I think like one couple, because I think the woman's love interest or something passed away, both her and this other dude are just fucking each other on the guy's grave. And I was like, yeah, I'd probably haunt you too if you're doing that on my fucking gravestone. It's like, don't be fucking, because I don't want that damn dude's seed fucking getting in my goddamn coffin.
Don't fuck on top of my grave. Yeah. But no, man, we got way off topic on that.
We got way off topic and everything for Martin Scorsese, folks. I guess before we move on to the rest of Martin's films for like towards the end, the ending. We were talking about this before the recording, how crazy the fucking ending is, where it is just death after death after death. At a young age, I had no clue what the fuck was going on. I was like, why is everyone all of a sudden dying? And then why is Marky Mark wearing Kleenex shoes, you know? And what was it? He popped Matt Damon, right? That was the last one?
He popped Matt Damon at the end. It was tying up all the loose ends that the film had concluded. Just lie after lie being covered up, and just how nothing ever goods comes out of all that fucking chaos. And it was a great, and you know, seeing this at 14 years old was just like, oh, cool. This is great. You know, I want to see more. I want to see more killing, and that's.
I want to see more killing.
Back to Blockbuster.
When you watch a Martin Scorsese film, you get that. You get quite a bit, especially towards the end. It's I kind of wonder if that's what Quentin Tarantino has taken away from Scorsese, because if you look at a lot of his films, like there's like a lot of kills and everything going on, but like. When you really look at like towards the end of a Martin Scorsese film, it's just guns blazing. Taxi Driver, there's like a whole apartment high rise just fucking getting massacred just to save a little girl. Just to save one little girl. Which really doesn't sit there and even save him, because he wanted to kill those people. He just found this reason to do it. And then you look at what was it? Oh my god. Didn't Wolf of Wall Street had like a death towards the end of it? That was a film I couldn't get into. I could not get into the toxicity of Wolf of Wall Street. People tell me
Man,
that was
Wolf
such a
of Wall
fun
Street
movie.
was more of a. I mean, God Almighty, that was such a different movie. Not a lot of deaths at all in that movie. I don't think there was a single. I think there was one death where it was off camera. It was like, oh, my great aunt died, and that was, and then some other dude had like a heart attack in one scene, and that was like it. I think that was it, but it was a different kind of movie. It was more of the chaotic abuse of drugs and greed
Yeah,
kind of movie. Just not even drug, like just abuse of trying to be the best.
yeah.
Of how you can't.
Kind of felt like he
Nothing
went back to like mean,
ever good comes out of it.
Mean Streets, but like what was it? The King of Comedy, where it's very cutthroat. You know, to get to where you want in the business, you have to cut a few throats and everything. And I mean, I watched a clip earlier where it's just this one dude fucking washing his fishbowl and everything, and fucking DiCaprio's like, "What the fuck is he doing?" and everything, and like Jonah Hill goes over there, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "I finished my work for today," and he's like, "Oh, okay," and then proceeds to steal his fishbowl, fucking swallow the fish. And I'm reading the comments, and there's quite a few dudes that are like, if someone fucking did that to my fish, I'd beat the living shit out of them. And it's like, you know what? This is probably the one time I will probably back up this comment. I was like, yeah, what the fuck did the fish do to you, Jonah Hill?
It was all improvisational tone the entire movie, I feel like. And
I wondered if that was a fake fish, though. And or if Jonah really did put a fish in his mouth.
Pretty sure it was real. I'm pretty sure it was real. I watched I listened to a podcast where Justin Long does on Wondery. Called Life is Short, and he interviewed Jonah. He interviews all these actors, but he interviewed Jonah Hill, and they were talking about that scene particularly. Pretty sure it was a real fish, and pretty sure he really swallowed it.
Oh my god.
But it was all like it was all on the spur of a moment. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It was all just like, okay, let's just all sit. What can we do? Look around. Oh, hey, have that guy start doing that. You know, that's what I got out of that movie. A lot of time he just left the camera on and let people just talk while they're on set, for the next scene to be set up. And then they use some of that parts in the film as well. And the actors didn't even know. And that was, I think I love Wolf of Wall Street too. Like that's another really good one.
I gotta watch really that film. There's generally when I go to Scorsese, I go to mostly his mobster crime films. Yeah. And everything. There's a whole lot that I need to watch. We did like mention some other ones. Raging Bull, After Hours. That one I just recently saw. I think it's on the Criterion Collection now. They've added that DVD, and I thought it was interesting. It was like about like this little schmuck that falls in love with a woman, and it leads him down to some type of like counterfeiting scheme and everything. And there's like this woman in an ice cream truck chasing him down, trying to kill him. And I was like, you got me at a woman chasing a man around in New York in an ice cream truck trying to kill him. That was what hooked me. And then I read the synopsis. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I gotta check this out. I've seen this actor before, but I can't really think of his name. It was, I think, like Dustin something. Not Hoffman, not Dustin Hoffman, but like I was like, I gotta check this out. And I saw that Tubi had it, and Tubi had Raging Bull still and Mean Streets, and it's like, I gotta have a Martin Scorsese day. So there's that. There's King of Comedy. Goodfellas. I mean, if you have not seen Goodfellas, what the fuck have you done with your life?
If you haven't seen Casino, what the fuck have you done with your life?
Casino, I think, was the harder Scorsese film in my life to like get a hold of that one compared to.
You gotta
like,
get in it.
Yeah.
One time, sit down, watch it. It's just it's a lot like Departed, just loose ends and stuff like that, and it gets crazy. It's a great film. I think you'll like it a lot. That'll be a good one for you to watch, I believe.
I definitely gotta find. You know what? Probably when I'm recuperating from wisdom tooth surgery, I will probably be watching a bunch of Scorsese films. Yes. I know with the last one, I binge watched, I think, 3 fucking Akira Kurosawa films. I watched 7 Samurai. That was a fucking fever dream. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is going on here? And I told one of my friends, are you high on shrooms? I was like, nah, dude, I'm watching Kurosawa. And they're like, oh, yeah, that'll kind of do it while you're like fucking, you know, coming down off of the fucking laughing gas and all the numbing agent and everything. It's like, bro, you got to watch him high, man. It's like, I really want to watch Dreams now or Ran. And you're all like, dude, that Technicolor and you on drugs, that's going to be something. We're going to move on to our final film because we don't want to keep Stevie too long. Uh, Robert Zemeckis' Forrest Gump, based off the book with the same name by Winston Groom, starring Tom Hanks, Gary Sinise, Robin Wright, and Sally Fields. I saw this
Man.
as a kid, and this became one of my all time favorite Tom Hanks films. I think this was my introduction to Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Was
it was such a good movie. There were so many hidden meanings. Like this is it's a non-sci-fi film using so much CGI about a feather collector. Basically, that's my description of it. And the hidden meaning is just all about destiny and teaching people that anything is possible. Anybody with any situation can rise to the top. Uh, it just takes some divine influence and randomness and the chance, basically the feather in the beginning, that opportunity could land anywhere if you think about it, and the fact
huh?
the feather landing at his feet kind of thing, and out of everyone just kind of brushing it off while the feather's on the way to him, how a lot of people just kind of let opportunity pass its by. But Forrest is just kind of the character of Forrest Gump. He just kind of goes with the flow, and he actually he jumps at the opportunity, and just kind of he's a yes man,
Yeah.
without saying yes. He says okay, just just okay to
Okay.
whatever anyone else. Yeah,
I love
okay,
you,
anything.
Jenny. You know.
Yeah, it was it was great. Main thing, I don't know if you've ever done an in-depth analysis of this movie, but like how all the NPCs of his life, they all have their ideas. What is it? Like Jenny wants to be famous. Bubba wants to be a famous shrimping boat captain. Lieutenant Dan wants to be a war hero. But
Mm-hmm.
then Boris goes on to achieve all of their goals. He
Yeah.
becomes a shrimping boat captain. He becomes a war hero. He becomes famous with the ping pong championship.
And
I
then
mean,
later doing the run because people joined him for
and
the
then
run.
Jenny comes back for a quickie, and then Forrest goes
Right.
on a run to figure things out. It's kind
I just start running. It's
yeah.
like, I
I
better
mean,
stop before I offend someone.
it's just so many things that you don't like. I don't know, man. It's just so many under the script, like meanings that people have figured out over the years. It's what came out 33 years ago. Like
Because I believe that was
Jesus
like
Christ.
1994 when that I
Was
was
it
like
94 or
1 years old. I think
91?
somewhere around there. It was either I was one or I wasn't even born yet. But I remember watching it like on
Yeah.
VHS with my mom, and that was like one of her favorite Tom Hanks films.
Hmm.
And then of course she told me it's like, oh, like he did like some of the best comedies before he did any of his dramas.
Yeah.
And so I started like discovering in my teen years, I started discovering a lot of his stuff. There was one, I'm trying to think. I love the Money Pit. That was like one of my favorite ones of his, where he just has like this obnoxious fucking laugh whenever they're putting water in the fucking tub, and the tub goes right through the fucking floor, and he just laughs and everything. But there was one, what the hell was it? It was like a bachelor party, and they
I
get
think
like
it
an
was called Bachelor
was
Party.
it called Bachelor Party?
I
Okay.
think it
Yeah,
was.
and like, this dude's supposed to be getting married and they get into the most outlandish shit. It was obviously a Porky's ripoff, but like
Mhm.
wasn't too like in the weeds. I don't know if you know what Porky's was and everything,
I,
but
I might have to look it up.
it was like one of those raunchy like
I see
I
it.
guess
Yeah.
you would call
Yeah, I
like teen
remember it.
dramas and everything, but
I remember that.
yeah, if you haven't seen Porky's, folks, you got to watch it because that's one of the best scenes that obviously you cannot do in today's cinema, where there is a glory hole in a high school girl's gym, and this one dude puts his pecker through it, and the fucking gym teacher, the female gym teacher, grabs him by two hands and fucking threatens to rip it out by the roots. And this dude's trying to pull away, and she pulls back, and it slams his head into the wall.
I
And
have to
then
watch that.
proceeds to go into the principal's office, and the fucking woman's like, I know exactly what penis was in that wall. And then it was like, and then the guys are like, well, why don't we do a police lineup and everything, and then
Yeah.
bring in like a sketch artist so maybe they can sketch what it is. And like everyone in that
Hmm.
room is doing their best not to fucking laugh, while the woman in the room is so serious of like, well, this is a serious matter, which it is. But you can't make films like that anymore because of the culture today. It's like,
You get canceled.
yeah,
You
you'll
just
get canceled and everything. And Or people just
Yeah,
look at you like you're just demented. It was like, nah, I'm just a child of the 70s.
I grew up
He's
in the
like,
'90s. I mean, I grew up. I was born in '91, so I mean, I grew up with a lot of different kind of like
yeah.
you know
I feel like our
whatever's.
generation was like
But
the last generation to really grow up watching stuff a little bit more before the time. Maybe not too many did, but I feel like our generation was the last one that's like we could
before
appreciate the films,
technology,
you
yeah,
know.
before
Yeah.
technology was at our fingertips mostly.
But
Like
even then, like we use that technology too to like also grab hold of films we may have missed even in our lifetime. Of like,
true.
how did I miss this? You know, so there
Mhm.
was some good to it, but there was also bad and everything
Yeah.
where, you know, oh, we couldn't get away with that today. And it's like, well, why the fuck were you doing that? And it's all like, we were fucking bored.
Yeah.
We didn't have the internet. Like, we didn't fucking have video games like what we do
Um.
today. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but no, Forrest Gump, I remember seeing that movie VHS when I was a kid. I mean, it looked like a most boring movie I've ever seen.
it's
Just
just a
looking at
guy
him
sitting
sitting
on a
on a wood
bench.
bench. I mean, me and Kay actually went to that bench
Really?
2 years ago in Savannah, Georgia. Yeah, it's only 4 hours from me. So
Did
we
you?
actually the bench isn't there, but the spot is
Oh.
still there.
Oh, okay.
So but we actually, yeah, we walked right where he was sitting, um, right there. And that was kind of cool. But I mean, just the whole who Forrest is, like I said, just his character. Um, like how he had no original thought. It was borderline inception, getting his ideas from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost as if he was like it was like Zen Buddhism or something like that. Basically emptying your brain of any intellectual ideas so you can make way for new ideas to
Yeah.
get to your next point in your life. I mean, I did the project on Forrest Gump in high school. It was part of my senior project. Like, come up with something that you want to learn about, and if you were to teach somebody about. So it was all the visual effects that was used in that movie, and especially in the early '90s when visual effects they were working on giant ass computers and or the
Yeah.
big tube monitors from Apple, Microsoft, and all this stuff. But like how a lot of stuff in that it looks so real, like how they put Forrest in scenes with Nixon and how they made at the Lincoln Memorial and how they use like a digital map painting of filming crowds and with separate takes and all just combining them in one big shot to make it look like to make 200 people look like 250,000 people.
Yeah.
Um, and same thing with the Alabama football stadium scenes where like they filmed just like a short stadium. It wasn't a round stadium. It was just like a little stadium, probably 100 feet in length with a bunch of people. And they just filmed that. And then they just they used the digital map painting to extend the stadium and the people all around and made it look so damn good. I mean, they did a lot of, and then with Forrest getting chased by the damn car, it was they weren't even in the same shot ever. Like Forrest was
Yeah.
running, and then the car was running, and then they had him fade. And I mean,
I mean, I think
it was
that's like
really
probably
cool
the
on how they
one
did.
part of the movie where you could kind of see that, especially when
Mm.
like, thank you for calling us two sexy bastards, Odin. Thank you so much, and
Hey,
thank you
bud.
for the unsurprised stage fright cave for having your entire cabin listen to us. I definitely don't feel the pressure whatsoever. But
Yeah.
like that slow motion scene where like he's running and you can kind of sit there and see where like some of
Mhm.
the CGI and everything. The film isn't perfect, but like you still
Mhm.
like accept it for like the same thing in '80s films with like practical effects. It's like, oh,
I
that doesn't
mean,
look real, but you take it in as like that charm of
at
that
that
film.
time, watching it on the TVs that we were watching it on then,
Oh
the
yeah,
TVs couldn't enhance. It looked so real, like the
yeah,
Vietnam ambush scenes with the explosions were.
yes,
I mean, him running through the forest with Bubba, that was on the green screen. And
yeah.
then they just, I mean, pyrotechnic, maniacs set up with spark. What was it? They just did gasoline and
I
something else with fake jets running through the air. That's
I think that's probably one of
all they did.
my favorite sets of that entire movie was the whole Vietnam thing, and
Yeah.
when he goes and he saves Gary Sinise, and
Hmm.
uh, he keeps telling him, put me the fuck down. I deserve to die back
Yeah.
there with my men, because
Mm.
his whole thing was, and I love how they go back and forth with Gary Sinise's character of like, for as long as I remember, like, Colonel whatever, fucking, his family have always died in the war. And it was like, It's kind of a weird
Every
tradition you want to do.
American's.
And like I think they
Yeah.
even showed that like he even died during like I think the French Wars with fucking Napoleon or whatever. Like
Yeah. It
they
was
went
every
like back and forth and it's just
American-based
Gary
war.
flipping over fucking
Yeah.
it. And it's
Nah, it was really cool though.
for something
I
that
love
is
it.
an outlandish idea, they made it work. And then to sit there and
Hmm.
have him fight, you know, Forrest, and Forrest is like, I don't care, I'm getting you out, I'm getting you out. And then that heartfelt moment of when he's looking around and Bubba's not there, and he's like, I gotta get Bubba, and you know, and then you have that moment where it's like, I'm not gonna make it, Forrest, and it's like, oh, come the fuck on, like you're gonna fucking make it, you know, and
He
it
stole
did
his idea and made millions.
made
Stole
millions and
Bubba's.
everything. But you know what? He at least was charitable and he brought the fucking
Yeah.
money to, was it his mother?
It
Yeah.
was his mom.
And I mean, because like I think like his mom was like able to like move out and like actually go live lavishly enough and everything. So it wasn't like just Forrest just took the idea and then just stole it. I was like, no, he was still very much giving at the end of the day. And
Hmm.
he didn't live like a rich man, he lived like a humble man and everything, which is like all nice that we all kind of wish that we can do, but we all know that we give into those inherent vices of, if we have that opportunity, we're chances are we're going to take that. And Forrest kind of was able to fight that, you know, but he could not fight Jenny. That was the one vice to him, you know, no matter how
Man,
many times she left his ass,
she
you
was
know.
a big mess. I mean,
I mean,
God
look at
almighty.
how her father treated her.
I mean, seeing that as a kid versus watching that movie now, it was just it's a whole new movie. It's a whole different movie.
Yeah.
What like it's just like any movie that you've seen as a kid. I tell everyone go watch it right now, and I guarantee it's a completely different movie,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it is. And
Yeah.
Jenny and Forrest's relationship in that movie, I hate her. I love her, but I hate her
Mm-hmm.
so damn much. She used him. She got a kid out of it, and then but like the overall motive of the whole movie, like just how the feather floats away in the end, just kind of saying that. So the feather came in to kind of get you on this life track. You took the opportunity, and then feather leaving, your life is complete. Kind of destiny. Your destiny has been completed.
Yeah.
Motive in a sense.
It's
And
all beautiful. And
it was a great story. Like I said, I like Tom Hanks. I used to love him. I don't love him recently. I love him what he used to work on, but I love the character. Everyone knows Forrest Gump. Who doesn't know Forrest Gump? Now I have a lot of favorite movies, but I mean Forrest Gump I watch at least once a year as well, up there with a lot of different movies.
I found out that it's
Um,
on Paramount Plus, so I'm definitely
well,
probably sometime today I may just try to uh, watch it and everything because it's such a fun film.
yeah, and I think I did. So like Odin says, it is from Bama, and all my family is from Alabama. So that I did kind of relate to it a little bit.
Well,
On
now
that
you know
note,
what? I kind of really wish then that maybe we cosplayed for this and everything. You could have been you could have been Lieutenant Dan, and I could have been
yeah,
Forrest and
I got a
everything.
wheelchair in the closet back there, so
And everything,
that would have
and
been that would have been good.
I'd sit there bringing ice cream. It's like, you want your ice cream, Lieutenant Dan? Because I'm licking mine
Lieutenant Dan ice cream,
and everything. Happy New
but
Year's,
no,
Lieutenant Dan. Like, I think you could sell that look of Gary Sinise just fucking miserable sitting in a wheelchair as like everyone's celebrating, you know, and
well, even Gary Sinise's story in that movie, like he was a big part of it, of how he kind
mm-hmm.
of became acceptance. He went through all the stages of he died on the inside, but he accepted he found God or whatever, and then he was accepted in the end of who he was and what he became,
Yeah.
all because of
But
everything.
because
I
like you
mean,
mentioned how Forrest like took that like war hero thing where like he saved Lieutenant Dan and Dan was like,
mm,
oh, now like I'm a you know, I have no legs, I
I'm a
just have these little
crippled.
stumps and everything, and
Yeah.
I'm so miserable. But like the whole thing is, it's when he finally took the initiative to fucking join Forrest on the shrimping boat. Even though Forrest knew nothing about shrimping, neither did he, but they figured it out together and
Hmm.
everything. And in that time of them being together, you know, even he kind of had like a little bit of a self-destructive behavior streak and everything to it. It was to the point that Lieutenant Dan could not really rebuild his life without Forrest in it. For someone who looked at Forrest, you ruined my life. It's like, no, Forrest, you helped me refigure out my life and everything.
Yeah,
And
and well, yeah. I mean, what was it? So Forrest, as a kid, he was given a crooked back, He didn't have any kind of father figure whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
He had all these things that, the whole box of chocolates that life gave him, and he just made it work. I mean,
Yeah.
that was really, and it gives a lot of people hope,
Mm-hmm.
I guess is the word for it. Like, kind of anything is possible, and the symbolism of, if you get this unfair lottery of whatever life you're given, you're just gonna have to. I mean, you gotta do what's best with what you got every day and just let it play out,
Exactly.
regardless. But and then stop being hung up on all these, pre conceptions or whatever, and just be ready to receive and be appreciative
Yeah.
of whatever comes your way, kind of thing. And
I
I think a
definitely
lot of
feel
people
now I
need to
have to
live
watch
more
this.
like by that.
Because
I
I feel like I
yeah,
fall from that sometimes, and it's like,
yeah. I mean,
uh,
watching it was after studying it is a whole new movie, and after watching it, watching like makings of it on YouTube or something, and watch all the visual effects that were actually put into it, especially when they like arrived to Vietnam, and you have like dozens of helicopters in the background. Those were only 2 helicopters filmed.
yeah,
That was it. And then they took pictures of helicopters, threw them in there, animated them, threw some fake spinning wings on, and that, I
that
mean,
was it.
just it was just like the amount of effects they did with the technology they were limited with. Like, imagine that same story being made today, and oh man, it was just beautiful looking. Like, it was just such a good,
The
so many
sad
different
thing is,
scenes,
if
and
it was
it's
done today, the CGI would not look nearly as good as it did because
probably not
the
either.
the
Yeah.
animators are rushed today with, you got to make this deadline. And it's like, well, give us more time, like,
Hmm.
and they're like, well, no, because we have to make this, because like even then, it makes me wonder if they tried to do anything of that with Coppola's Apocalypse Now, you know, because I know he did actually shoot on set and everything, but like I do know that there was a bunch of helicopters. I don't know if they were actually able to get all those helicopters, and if some of that was already just pre-used footage and that they tried to like mat it in and everything. Because I mean,
I
like
wonder, but I mean, that was made 10.
rotoscoping and everything were still around
When
at
was
that
that made?
time.
That came out in the 70s, didn't it?
I
Apocalypse
believe
Now.
either 68 or the early 70s. So it's somewhere right around
So
there.
I mean, well, yeah, still not the same. I mean, definitely not the same technology, but
Yeah. But they had rotoscoping and all that other stuff that they
yeah,
could have easily
I guess, yeah.
had done. And it would have looked far more real, but yeah, like uh, I've heard so many stories about the whole Apocalypse Now making and everything, and Coppola's another interesting director that, believe it or not, no one's ever really brought up on Community Curation. So hopefully, maybe sometime in the future,
That'd be a good one to
yeah.
look into. Apocalypse Now was a good movie. I liked it a
I
lot.
mean,
That was Martin Sheen, wasn't it? From Departed.
yeah, yeah.
Or yeah,
Martin Sheen was in
yeah.
it, and Brando played the quote unquote villain.
Marlon, yeah, Marlon Brando.
He's like, who are you? And like he tells him what it is. It's like, no, that is your government name. Blah. Blah. Who
Hmm.
are you? And it's like, oh shit! Like we're gonna get into some psychedelic shit, and some inner,
That'd be a good one to bring up
yeah.
one day.
Well, what was it? I fell in love with Coppola with Dracula and everything, and I've seen all the documentaries on Dracula, which Gothic Storyteller, Coppola's Dracula, that fits.
You gotta
And everything.
have, yeah, you gotta
But
have
but
that
like
on there.
learning like how he did like the table reads, and I tried reading his script. His fucking script is hard to read and everything. It's as hard to
Mhm.
read as it is actually reading Dracula itself and everything. And but like learning all the behind the scenes on how that movie was made, oh dear lord, like that's a fucking fever dream. To If I could go back in time, it would be just to be a fly on the wall of that set.
I probably need to watch that
Yeah.
making of or something at least.
It's all over YouTube. There's several ones and everything.
Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis is also sat there in Greystar, has Greystar childhood with many wonderful films such as Romancing the Stone, the Back to the Future trilogy. I still need
Yep.
to finish
Back
that
to the
trilogy.
Future.
I've only seen the
I
first one.
almost chose Back to the Future as one of my favorites because it really is one of my favorites.
You must then love Robert Zemeckis then and everything.
I just loved it was just, I don't know, something about those movies back then. Just everything was so simple. I would
Yeah.
have loved to have grown up in the 80s. I would have loved to have been 16 years old in 1982 and just experience
The year of
early
1984
80s.
would be a fever dream for you because so many wonderful films
Yeah.
from every form of genre 1984 was a sweet spot for the 80s.
I liked it. I liked it. Yeah, I would have loved to have grown up in that time.
He also did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He did Death
Good
Becomes
one.
Her and The Polar Express.
Mm.
And everything. He did like a whole string when he did Polar Express. There, I forgot what was the other movie, but he also did A Christmas Carol, the one with Jim Carrey, doing the voiceover.
Yeah.
He did like that whole string of like computer animated films that were like, not
Pixar
all of them were good, but
DreamWorks looking.
yeah,
something like, yeah, I know what kind of animation you're talking about.
yeah, and everything. So like, it's funny, like when you really look at these directors, some people don't know who these are. But when you start looking at other movies that you have seen and that you have treasured, it's like, wow, these directors have been in our life for the longest time. Like, to be honest, I still can't believe just how much of an impact John Hughes was on my life. You know, I grew up watching Home Alone and everything, and then in my teen years, I watched 16 Candles and all of the Brat Pack stuff that I enjoyed, and I still enjoy that stuff to today. I was like, why didn't I have this in high school? Oh, because I lived in Texas, and no one did that shit in this backwatered state. So it's like you never had a Molly Ringwald in frickin' Texas or anything like that.
Yeah, I think everyone needs a John Hughes kind of era, like with Weird Science was really good.
Yeah,
Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I love John Candy.
Yes.
I adore John Candy. Man, he's just one of the most beloved actors. I wish I had gotten to see more of.
Come November, we are streaming Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on fucking in the Discord for a movie. That's gonna be Cool Runnings, the Best Candy movie. I believe the Best Candy film was Planes, Trains, and Automobile, but there's also oh my god,
Uncle
what
Buck.
is it? Uncle Buck. There we go. That was another good one. And I mean, just watching him drive fucking Dan Aykroyd fucking nuts is a fucking treasure. We are gonna sit there and wrap this up with a film association. I give I give Stevie a word, and he has to associate. Wait, what?
Oh god,
Senka, you dead? Yeah, Mon. Wait, what? Oh my god. Okay, so I've only I think seen Cool Runnings one time. So if you're referencing that film, that's gonna go over my head. But film association, I give Stevie one word, and he has to associate a film with that. He did get like the outline for this, so I don't know if he truly looked at that.
I did. I forgot. Let's do. I see it now. Like, all right, let's try it.
Yeah. So here we go. We got Carefree as our first one. Carefree.
Toy Story.
Annoyed.
Toy Story. Scary movies.
Hysterical.
Oh shit. Just oh god, basketball.
Despairing.
Slapstick. Despairing. Green Mile.
Oh god, I love that movie. Hardship.
Yeah. Pursuit of Happiness.
Mystery.
Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's a great film. You guys
that
should
was
be watching
a great mystery movie. I loved it.
That breakdown scene where he's fucking breaking that sink with the fucking hammer.
Oh man, dude, that was just like you just.
Yeah, you fucking felt that anger and that frustration. Our final one is Terror.
Midsummer.
Okay.
Have you seen that one?
I've seen bits and pieces of it and everything.
Okay. Man,
the one scene I've seen the most was the one with the old man that walks off the cliff and it didn't kill him.
That whole ending. I mean, you want to go Terror? You can obviously say It. The Stephen King's.
Are we talking 1990 miniseries, or are we talking the?
You do 1991. The miniseries. The remakes weren't scary to me at all. Or you can always go like I don't say that's terror. I would say that's. It depends on what kind of terror. Psychological terror, scary monster terror. What kind of terror are we talking about here?
Yeah. Apparently, Odin feels a little disappointed you did not see Scooby-Doo for mystery.
Scooby-Doo.
Knox sat there said for terror, it would be The Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. See, that's a different kind of terror versus like, Jaws terror. Like, are we doing like, what kind of terror are we talking about? If we were doing psychological terror, I would say like, sound. That's not psychological. That's like realistic terror.
Yeah.
I would say have you seen that movie Upgrade, to where like this AI is implemented into this guy's head.
I
And
have
he
seen
like
the
controls
trailer
his
to
body.
it and everything,
Oh,
and yeah.
that's a really good one. That's
'Cause
one
I
of my
think,
favorite
well, I
movies.
think in the
that were
trailer
never
it
in
showed he got his like
theaters.
arm broken, and then his arm just
Yep.
pops right back in, and I was like,
Yep.
oh
Or you can
fuck,
say, or the movie Get Out,
yeah.
with Peel.
Oh
That
my
was good
god.
terror in my.
That ending scene when he's getting the fuck
Yeah.
out, and then all of a sudden the cops pop in, and it's like, oh god no, and then
God,
it's
here
his
we, and then it
buddy.
just twisted again. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
twist after twist. I
it's
loved it.
that
Like,
that
so
that
you
was
got,
right there. It's like getting testicular torsion, and you're like, no, no, and it's like, oh fucking thank
yeah,
god, and it's like, oh my god, I gotta go for a walk after that one. Yeah.
yeah, or anything with what's the guy who made Signs and Six
M. Night
Sense?
Shyamalan.
You
Yeah.
can do his kind of version of terror, and I mean, it's not really terror, but I mean,
It's more
I mean,
eerie. He does eeriness.
eerie,
Yeah.
mystery, eerie.
I'm one of the few people that I enjoyed the what was it? I think it was the Lady from the Lake or something like that. It was like a fancy one that Paul Giamatti did, where he like
The Lady in the Water.
Lady in the Water. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like these wolves that are supposedly evil that are made of plant matter, and they have to try to get this woman back to her world, or it spells doom for all these people. I thought that was a wonderful fantasy film that was ahead of its time. And then like, what was it? Guillermo del Toro did Pan's Labyrinth, and everyone was like, hooray!
Pan's Labyrinth was just, that was a good one. What's that actor's name that plays a lot of characters
Doug
that
Jones?
we never see? Is that the skinny guy?
And everything, like he would have the eyes.
Yeah, he does that. Yep,
Yeah,
that guy.
as Doug Jones. Doug Jones is outstanding.
He was in Pan's Labyrinth, wasn't he? Wasn't that him? Or
Yeah,
was
he
that,
played the
that's what I
fawn.
was thinking
He
of.
played the fawn, and then he played the guy with the eyes that was at the dinner table.
Yep.
He played
he
a
was
few.
he was in Hellboy. He was in
Abe Sapien in it. He, believe it or not, in most of our childhoods, he played. I think it was Billy something. He was the Sanderson sister zombie, the one that like he was apparently Bette Midler's man, and then he fucked around with Sarah Jessica Parker, and so she sewed his mouth and turned him into a zombie. So like he has been an
the actor nobody knows but loves.
Yeah,
that's what they call him, and I love that.
Yeah,
he doesn't care, but he just wants to be in the movies. He doesn't care if he get his face.
He'll follow you on Twitter if you follow him. He'll follow you on Twitter because he believes in networking and giving everyone like that fair chance. So yeah, he's always open to work. And I love that tremendously. I love an actor that doesn't really kind of like let his ego get to himself, and it's like, I'm open to work with anyone, as long as there's a decent paycheck, I'll fucking work with you, and I love that. But thank you so much, Stevie, for going on here and everything. This was fucking wonderful. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I put 2 cups of coffee in me to stay up to do this because I know you gave me shit yesterday because I woke up I think like around 9 and you were streaming and I was only up for an hour and you're like, you just been up for an hour and you fucking need a nap.
Back to sleep. I was like, what the hell?
And I was like, and I'm like over here. I went to bed super early last night. I went to bed around 9:30. Woke up, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed at midnight. I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I am not gonna be this fucking wreck in the morning when I interview Stevie. And so I put on House, passed the fuck out after like an hour and everything, kept waking up. I was like, nope, going back to bed. I am not waking up until that alarm hits. And then I'm getting up, 2 cups of coffee, get the fucking house chores done. And I'm like, ready. I'm ready for fucking Stevie's interview. This is fucking amazing.
I had a great time. We'll have to do it again in like, next year or something. Like back to it, new set of favorite movies, and I'll have a better list for you.
Of course, and everything.
Really fun. Really fun.
The TV series House.
Thanks for having me.
I could never fall asleep to the movie House because I love the movie House so fucking much. I don't know if
the movie House.
Have you not seen the movie House? It is a wonderful fucking 80s.
No, I have not seen it.
This film is about a writer who is also, I think, a Vietnam or a Korean vet whose son goes missing, and his grandma unalives herself in this house. And this house is not normal, and it's actually a portal to like a different universe. and there are these monsters that come through it, and he's still trying to look for his son, believing that this house is connected to it. It got like a sequel that was not really connected to the first house, other than that, like it seemed like it was a different parallel universe, and I think the sequel tried to pretty much explore parallel universes. But the guy who played Sam in The Hobbit, or the Lord of the Rings movie, his dad, the original Gomez Adams, has like a cameo role in the second one, if I remember correctly. It's that, or maybe I'm thinking of The Frighteners.
Frighteners like was really good movie. I loved Fright. That was another when I was like 7 years old, and
when you look at the
it.
80s and 90s when it came to films like that, those films were fucking amazing. I love those films. They are fantastical with a little bit of horror into them, enough to just get maybe a jump scare or two, but there was so much left to the imagination that it was just like chef's kiss and everything. I know you don't have too many socials, but where can the fine people find you on the internet?
Just Twitch. Click Stevie Streams in the title. That's mainly where I'm at. I'm all over Discord. I'm in Gothic's Discord. You can add me as a friend. You ever want to shoot the shit? Stevie Streams on Discord. Very simple. So if you don't think I stream, my name is my only promotion. So Stevie Streams. That's my shout out every time I go into someone's chat. So you don't ever have to shout me out. I mean, but no, dude, I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. I look forward to doing it again one day. And I wish you a good nap. So.
Well, I have 2 cups of coffee, meat, so I don't know if I'm gonna nap. Really, I may go lay down and then I'll be wide awake, probably watching Forrest Gump.
go watch Casino, man. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, Casino too and everything. But yeah, with that being said, we are gonna end the recording here and everything. Thank you so much again for being here.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it.